We are going to be talking to Courtney and Mike from Spiritbox. Their new EP, Rotoscope, is out right now. If you haven't streamed the hell out of it, you can now. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Great. How about you?
Good, doing well. Did you hear any of the embarrassing things that happened before you entered the show today?
Yeah, that game was an absolute roller coaster ride of emotions.
I've never hummed so much in my life until today, so I'm glad you were here to see it. But thanks for being here nonetheless. A lot of friends in the chat saying hi. Courtney and Mike, what's up? Queen Energy, love you, Courtney. A lot of that. So welcome. Happy to have you here. First of all, I know you guys are on tour right now. Have you been? I saw you guys a few weeks ago at UBS Arena over on Long Island with Ghost and Mastodon. How's tour been going?
We're done now. Like we just got, and so now we're in that, like, I don't know about the rest of you that are musicians, but we go through like a 72-hour like holding period where we really just want to like not leave our hotel room or our room, and we sleep and we just have everything very dark. So this is
it's like catching up on a month of not sleeping.
The hibernation period.
So wow, yeah. we caught you at a very different moment where your lights are actually turned on and you're awake. This is good.
Yeah. I did hiss though when Michael turned all the lights on this morning when we had our sound check. I was like 11 o'clock. I'm more of I like to mosey on out after the tour at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is better time.
I thought of that because I realized that you guys are out in California, and the check for us was at 2 p.m., which I was like, extremely reasonable. Look at that. What a great time. And then you said you were in California, and I was like, my deepest apologies for waking you.
We'll be back to, I think this is probably our last day of being tired. And then after that, we'll be back to our normal, super early waking up, like things like 10 a.m. Wow.
That really came across. 10 a.m. is a time that seems to haunt both of you in your dreams.
Yeah. We're go-getters here in this camp, so we like to wake up bright and early at 10 a.m.
Yeah. The crack of dawn, 10 a.m. I want to talk with you guys a little bit. Since you got some time after your tour, you've kind of stopped down a little bit. You released Rotoscope a little while ago. Talk to me a little bit about that EP. First of all, it's been a year since Eternal came out, and we were really happy to see some new music from you guys, given 3 songs. Were those songs on Rotoscope pulled from the sessions of Eternal Blue, or were they made this year, or when did they come into play?
They were actually started November of last year, and then we kind of actually made a lot more too in February of this year as well. Yeah. And we just wanted to experiment and just kind of create something that we didn't really want to put a label on and just see how it went. So that's kind of what was born from that.
Yeah, it was all new stuff. It was the most farm to table you can get, in the Bay. We made it and barely, they barely existed, and we shared them with all of you. So that was a fun experiment. We just want to see what would happen if we did that without a big build up and the drama of the album cycle. I just wanted to remove that and have fun.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere too. I think one of my best friends is a big fan of you guys as well, and he texted me. He was like, "Oh, they got a new EP out." I was like, "What do you mean they got a new EP out?" I haven't heard anything about this before, but it was great. Now, when you were creating those songs, was it primarily? Did you just have a few studio sessions, just bang them out that way, or did you have a separate songwriting session for them?
Yeah, I mean, we finished up all of our live shows for last year, and we were kind of just sitting around, just like, what do we do now, we booked a few sessions just to kind of see if we could even create anything, because I mean, at the end of the day too, Eternal Blue had just come out, and that process took forever. But I think it was a necessary thing for us for sure, because that whole rollout was pretty mental. So it was just nice to kind of sit there and just get back to it and see what happens.
Yeah, we wrote a lot of other songs too, but those are the ones that were calling to us, that we could just tell in December, those are going to be the ones that we were going to work on after we had a bit of time off of our spring tour that we did. And so I guess we finished them all in April and put them out in May, which is extremely stressful for no reason. That to ourselves though, because I think we just really needed to show that we're working on some new stuff, because we love our album Eternal Blue, and it's only been a year that it's been out, but the songs, we created some of those songs now 3 or more years ago, which for some people that doesn't seem like a long time, but for us that feels like eternity. It really puts the eternal in the name, Eternal Blue. So
yeah, for sure.
It was cool just to be able to see if we could push it, see if we could push our label and our team to release music in the way that felt just very authentic to us to do it at that time. And it's I find that really exciting when other musicians I listen to. I just like the spontaneity of that. It's fun. It's just like a moment in time for them.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of like what you were mentioning before about Eternal Blue, it doesn't feel like it's been out for just a year because, some of the singles came out a lot earlier as well. Like I think Circle With Me came out a while ago, Secret Garden came out a while ago. Just a lot of those songs were just kind of sitting to the point where I got the album when it came out and I was like, oh man, I'm so glad it has a lot of tracks because I feel like I've heard half the songs on here before. It was really great to have some more material on that. But for this EP, were you guys listening to anything different at the time? Because this EP seems very, at least in my perspective, listening to it, it seems very 2000s kind of new metal-y a little bit. What were you listening to, or maybe what did you draw inspiration from for these tracks?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a product of just not really going out of our way to do it the opposite way that we did Eternal Blue, but just kind of being more aware of what we were listening to and just in that moment what we were being inspired by. I remember we were listening to a lot of Nine Inch Nails, bands like Health we really enjoyed as well. I don't know, what were some of your inspirations?
Well, I think we were so inspired by our last show of the year that we played before we came to the studio. We went to Dan's studio in Los Angeles where we like to hang out, and we had our last show of the year was we played Tid the Season, the Every Time I Die's big charity event that they do.
Yeah.
That was their last one.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
It was like we were watching that band that we love play their last set, and which we kind of knew and while watching, and all the bands that they chose to play were so cool. And we don't get out much, so especially when we weren't in an active touring band. We live on our island in Canada, and we don't get to see a lot of those bands that we love actually playing live. And just really, I think that we came in with a lot of inspiration, and most of those acts were very dark. It was really cool, and so I personally came in really inspired by that. And I was just inspired by the very rare, super cold, gloomy weather that we had out in Los Angeles at the time. It was like freezing and rainy, and it reminded us of our home.
Yeah.
And, and also just like general, just run-of-the-mill depression. Songs are very depressing. So
for sure.
They were just the classic, like, that melancholy feeling when you almost are too into your own depression, like you're almost romanticizing it, and you feel kind of guilty for doing that, but it's all part of the process. Just the classic, like laying in your bed, doing the "woe is me" like swoon movement. And then for guitar, I just felt like I think that I agree with what you were saying, because I feel like there was a lot less, jun, and it was more
right.
But like the
a little more open.
Yeah, like the riff, each note was breathing a little bit instead of getting choked up.
There's definitely a lot of like West Borland influence and Korn influence and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It came across that way too, because as you said, Courtney, it was a little less like genty, if I would say, but a little more kind of like a little more just simplified, but intentionally simplified, I guess, which is a great thing to see, I think, when you guys really focus on that. You mentioned something about not getting out much, and you've been out, I feel like, all year on different tours and whatnot, and I feel like you guys can hang with a lot of different kinds of bands. Like you did this tour, as I said, with Ghost and Mastodon. You did a show with Every Time I Die. I think you got a show coming up in October with Highly Suspect at Red Rocks, right? I feel like you guys can hang with pretty much any band. Is there anything you've really picked up from the bands that you've toured with over the past year?
I mean, the last month was just insane. We've never been able to play arenas or, you know, any sort of thing of that scale. So to get to do it for like 25 shows was just such an incredible thing to experience and to learn from. You know, we're like a pretty fresh band, so you know, when you're an internet band and then you're kind of pushed into, okay, like go do it for real mode, you learn a lot about what not to do, and you know, also you take the what would you call it, like the technical difficulties a lot harder because you're kind of just first getting thrown into that. And yeah, I mean, like there was like 10 semis and like 10 buses and a whole like 150 people working the stage, getting everything ready every day. So it was just a madhouse, and it was just incredible to see how everybody's, you know, world and rigs were working and what everybody's job was and everything. So yeah, I mean, on this last one personally for me, I definitely got like I would say like a crash course in what that world and how those tours operate. And it's pretty eye-opening. It's pretty incredible for sure.
We learned about roles that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
My newest one is systems tech.
Yeah.
That's a new thing that I didn't like. So a band like Ghost has all these things that to us are so like inspiring, and it's like this aspirational thing that you feel like, oh, a band like us wouldn't ever, you know, get to the point where we'd need that kind of stuff. But so it was really inspiring because there was so many cool, you know, crew jobs that I was like, can you imagine having a systems tech person that moves your PA every day, the same giant PA, so that it's like 360 sound for everyone? I didn't know that was a thing. That's so cool.
Hot dog tech.
Yeah, hot dog tech.
Hot dog tech.
And you know, just being around a band like us, being around someone that has a wardrobe person and seeing how they organize wardrobe, like little things like that. We learned so much on stage, but we were only playing for like a half hour. The most stuff we learned was off, you know, the next 4 hours after we got done our set and watching the other bands.
Yeah. You also learn really quick how to navigate a stage when you have like this much space. So
yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, you guys are you're no stranger to playing live and like playing shows, but for Spiritbox specifically, I feel like, as you said, like it was very internet band, and you had like Mara Effect out, you had these EPs out and singles out. Was transitioning to playing live a difficult transition for you guys, or how did you kind of format everything and, you know, get geared up for that when you started playing?
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, like in our old bands, we played a lot. Yeah. But it doesn't really prepare you for taking, you know, let's say 3-4 years off and then going and doing it in a brand new way with a whole new sound and a whole new set of people. Being an internet band for so long and being strategic about it, trying to build a demand that way, so that way when you go and do it live, there's actually people that show up and, if you're lucky, maybe know the words. Yeah. You know, it was a strategy that, you know, deep down we really hoped would happen. And when you threw the pandemic in there, which obviously no one saw coming out of that, we didn't really have a chance to kind of ease into it. It was basically just like, okay, well, your first tour back's with Limp Bizkit, and
you're playing giant festivals.
You're playing bigger festivals, and we've never even used in-ears before. You know what I mean? So you basically start from the ground up in a very intense way. And
you're failing on a large stage, which is such a privilege.
It is.
To get to have. But then also, you know, there's a lot of little distractions that I probably wouldn't have if I had a more normal evolution of like, going from playing to 100 people just and messing up there. Right. And then at the time I'm playing to 1,000 people, I've got it in the bag. And instead I just, you know, biffed it in front of, you know, giant crowds of people. But also did great and gained confidence. Knowing that we could do it.
I mean, all in all, it was a very stressful time, especially back then, to kind of gear up and do it. I think that it really helped us though, because we kind of got forced into, you know, stepping up to the plate and doing it the right way. And I'm really happy that we did. It was tough, but I'm very, very grateful.
Those stresses and those insecurities that you have when you kind of feel that imposter, not even syndrome, like feeling like I am really an imposter here, and I am gonna, why are all these people letting me do this? Those are just the most. Those are problems that I've always dreamed of having, and every musician dreams of having to deal with. So it's been really cool, and now we've finally played over 100 shows. Finally, it only took 5 years.
Yeah.
And in this year alone, 100, and it's just so nice to now feel like that confidence with the four of us, having that chemistry, because it doesn't matter how many times we practice by ourselves in our own respective cities and countries, getting together and having that chemistry from just feeling, supported is like, you can't recreate it other than just doing shows.
Doing it,
Yeah, definitely. And I'm getting a lot of questions from the chat too on this topic. Somebody asked, when can we get a headline tour? I think that's maybe in a lot of people's minds after this year, after kind of seeing you guys in now arenas and different kinds of kind of venues across the United States. Are you planning a headline tour anytime in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's coming. She's coming. She's on the horizon.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. Okay, great. Another question, kind of relating to your preparation for shows, Courtney. What vocal warm-ups do you do before a show? And how do you, especially if you're on a long tour, how do you kind of make sure that you don't really hurt yourself when you're screaming every night?
For me, because right now we're mainly opening, I really we played a couple headlining sets for over an hour, but mainly this is like a nice time for me to build the strength and foundation and play, a half hour and under most nights. So right now I'm not having to be so strategic, and it's honestly great. I feel like I'm like on vacation and I'm like, I can talk and hang out. But it's honestly for what I do and my weak points that I want to work on. The main thing is just vocal rest. And so, everyone else, the fun times are happening. Everyone's texting me, oh, you got to come out. So and so and so and so are in this cool bar, this festival, and they're hanging out and they want to see you. No, I'm just in my bed. I watched 5 seasons of Better Call Saul on this tour. That's the main thing. And then other than that, because the more you're up, the more likely you're going to talk, and the more you're drinking, the louder you talk. So you got to be really responsible and boring, and I call it vocalist jail. I go to vocalist jail. But then other than that, just warming up every day to your own needs of that day. So even if you normally I need to do this warm up, if your voice is tired, just do what feels good on your muscles. It's the same as if your leg hurts from the gym. If you overuse it, just be kind to yourself and have your vocal warm-ups be tailored to how you're feeling that day, in my opinion. And tour is not time for vocal agility. Tour is in my opinion, time for just keeping things fit, just maintaining. So it's not the time to be pushing boundaries. All the work before is where you're pushing boundaries, just like an athlete would, maybe chill out a little bit in the gym while it's during the season, and all the big, hard, heavy lifting might be, pre-season.
Yeah.
Like that. I think if you can do that, then you're not going to run into as many issues.
Yeah. And nowadays I feel like opinions have changed. I feel like the real rock and roll lifestyle now is sitting on the floor and watching 5 seasons of Better Call Saul instead of destroying your vocal cords by drinking every night, probably.
I'm so jealous of people that are they walk out on stage and they sing better than I've ever sang in my life, and then they're watching the other bands talking, laughing, and having fun. I imagine that. It's like my dream.
It's just a sad moment for you. I feel like.
No, seriously, I'm like laying in my bunk and I hear everyone out there like laughing and saying funny stuff, and I'm like,
I'm fun too, I swear.
Yeah. So every once in a while, I feel like a lot of vocalists, they it's like this PR thing. It's like vocalist fun propaganda where it's like you just want to be seen that you're nice and cool, and then the second everyone is distracted, you run away and you don't talk to anyone. So it's like my propaganda machine's churning. Everyone probably thinks I'm fun and stays out and has a drink, but it's like getting a photo op. I'm like, all right, they saw me, I'm nice, and I run away and I go watch Better Call Saul.
There you go. It's like the equivalent of like having a beer at a party and like dumping half of it in the sink secretly at the bathroom. So I know the feeling. We're getting a lot of questions in the chat about Josh. I'm wondering if he's officially in the band, if there's like a statement on that, and what the lineup looks like for you guys.
Look. Okay. We are both elders who have been through so many
elders.
Okay. It would be like, don't you guys think it would be so freaking weird if like you were dating someone who just got out of like a 15-year relationship, and then you dated for 2 months, and then they were like, you know what? We should get married. We should get married right now. Let's merge our finances.
Yeah, let's sign that contract.
And everything together. Sign it, baby. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you're a psycho.
Yeah.
So Josh is a very level-headed, mature guy, and we're so happy to be working with him. But we need everyone just let us date for a little, you know.
We're having a great time playing together, and there's no plans to really change.
No,
but
important.
We're just gonna keep playing together and see how it goes.
Let us have some steamy, fun romance,
Yeah.
you know, and then we'll put a ring on it.
There you go.
But it's been so nice having somebody like him play with us, because aside from him being an amazing guy and really talented, just he has so much like wisdom to bestow upon us, because he's experienced all the things that we're now experiencing for the first time. It's really nice having someone around that can give you that reassurance. And if anything, you know, I think he reminds us to be a little bit less like self-deprecating and realize all the cool stuff that we're getting to do, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's great. Sounds like you've had a great time whining and dining the boy.
Yeah, that's always our joke with our band and our crew, is like anytime, like if I get some extra chicken nuggets or something, I'll be like, hey, I'll share my chicken nuggets with you. And then I go, hey, that's one of the perks.
It's just one of the perks. Cheesecake Factories is one of the perks.
You can order an appetizer, entree, and a dessert. Ooh. It's one of the perks.
Yeah. Ooh, things keep going well next year. You give them some dino nuggets, maybe, you know, sweeten the deal a little bit.
One of the perks of hanging out with Spiritbox.
Damn, perks, baby. I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit about I Wrestled a Bear Once and some other projects too, because I've been getting a lot of chats about it. But taking off from I Wrestled a Bear Once back in the day, when was like the seed of this band planted for both of you, or when you started maybe working together and decided, okay, maybe we should try to start another project kind of at the end of that other band?
I guess, yeah. I mean, everything ended with I Wrestled a Bear Once in winter of 2015.
Yeah.
And me and Courtney came home, and Courtney got a job at a cafe, and I started delivering pizzas because there was no other plans and no safety net whatsoever. And immediately I was just like, we have to make something new quick. Like, we can't continue like this. And yeah, and it, you know, when everything was going down and it was obvious that it was going to end, I started thinking about new band name, what the new music would be, everything. And basically from 2016 until early 2017, I was just writing and recording it and getting it mixed.
2 years.
Yeah, it took about a year and a half for it to, you know, be written, recorded, and released. And yeah, it was a pretty crazy time in our lives, for sure.
We didn't really know. I didn't have like confidence that anyone would care. And when we told our manager Jason that we quit, and we were like, but we're gonna make music. And the main thing that made me feel really confident is, you know, he immediately was like, I don't care what it is, tell me what it is. When you're ready, show it to me. I want to help you. And I was like, that gave me a lot of confidence that he believed in us. And so, you know, then about a year and a half later or so, we were like, all right, here it is.
I think the four of us, me, you, Mikey, and Ricky on that last tour, put in our 2 weeks at the end of December. And I think at that time we were all talking about, what the future of our music and everything would be.
And then we all went to Disney World.
Yeah.
Our last show was in Florida. It was really weird playing that show and not telling the crowd or the 14 people there that it was our last show.
Yeah.
And then we were like, let's go to Disney World and get drunk.
Let's do it.
Cool. I feel like that's a great position of transition, when you can just go to Disney World and just reset everything. That sounds like a good time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really inspired the first songs. Harry Potter
Totally.
World.
Mike, something you said really intrigued me for a second when you said that you kind of sat down and thought about what this new band would be and like what the new sound would be like. I'm curious if any of those early thoughts, when you look back on those thoughts that you had originally, and what you see now, are they very similar or are they very different?
I would say the mentality is the same. Coming out of I Wrestled a Bear Once, it was very, dissonant. It was very crazy, lots of tapping, lots of just insanity, which is something that I've always just really respected about that band in general, even before I was involved. But after you do that for a while, and even in my project before that, same type of vibe. It was very just crazy and all over the map. But after you do that for X amount of years, I don't know if it's just getting older or what, but you start to develop a desire to change things and to do things in a little more not straightforward, but just a little less jarring way. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of always been the motto for this band and writing, is just not caring, what it would be labeled as, or, how many notes are in there, or if there's not enough, or if there's too many, and I think that's always going to stick with us. And it's kind of why every release kind of sounds a little different, or at least has a new direction. It's because it's currently what is inspiring us at the time, as opposed to just always, fixating on, well, we have to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys are like seeing us figure that out in real time. Normally, we would have the amount of music we put out, like a couple EPs worth and an album. Those things normally happen before the band has all the opportunities that we've gotten. Our stuff kind of weirdly happened in reverse, and so because of that, it's like an interesting experiment for those watching and following along, because we don't know what what the band will be forever. No. We're still figuring out what kind of musicians we are. But I definitely, at this point, neither one is better than the other, but I feel like I had to go, well, are we just writing, are the sake of the songs for us to show off, or is it about us, or can we challenge ourselves to write really good songs? And I don't think there's anything wrong with showing off either, because there's a lot of music I listen to just for the sake of that.
For sure.
But I just not right now. I really like, if Michael wants to show off, he can write a song that's just ridiculous, stupid guitar stuff. But I don't think that's just not really like something I'm identifying with at this moment.
Sure.
I just want to write. I feel like it's more challenging and rewarding to try to write a song that will sound great, on the piano too.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever I'm writing, any of it, it's mostly just, does it get stuck in my head? Okay, cool. You know what I mean? That's kind of based off writing all this music.
But it's exciting to think that we can pretty much do anything, and I think that people would be receptive to it, because we're new enough that I think everyone you get away with a lot more when this kind of thing happens to you when you're a newer band, versus having like 5 albums that all sound the same and then kind of changing it up a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that journey you described of kind of figuring it out along the way is a good way to look at it, because I feel like that's a very similar way that a lot of listeners have looked at your material. Nothing's the same, everything's a little bit different, at least like through my personal experience. When I first found your self-titled EP, I was like, oh, this is really good, and I'm very interested in this, but maybe I didn't exactly personally get it at that point. But I think when Rule of Nines and Blessed Be came out, that's when personally it really started to click for me. And I was like, oh, okay, now I know what they're doing, or like now I know where they are. Around that time period, did you have those same thoughts, or did you have those same feelings, or did you, were you in just a different mental place in the terms of those two singles when they came out?
I think the first two EPs for me were just me trying to get it all out of my system. You know, like those two first EPs, when I hear it now, it's hilarious because at the time I'm thinking, wow, this is so much more stripped back and so much more simple. And now I listen to it and I'm like, man, like this is pretty prog and it's pretty open and there's a lot going on. Like there's, I mean, all of it, you know what I mean? There's solos, there's a bunch of stuff, there's a lot of notes. I think after those two first EPs, because it was just me in my parents' basement doing it, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really have any assistance. And then when it came down to the sessions for Rule of Nines, Blessed Be, Dan Bronstein, our producer, I had worked with him in my old project, and me and him are kind of, best way to describe it is kind of like he finishes my sentences musically. Me and him are very in same type of brain, same type of, you know what I mean? We can speak to each other very easily with riffs and other stuff. And you know, having him there to pretty much reassure me, hey, like what you're doing is great. That's actually a great riff. We could utilize this like this, you know. I mean, I can't even count the amount of riffs I've thrown in the trash just because I'm like, it's not good enough. When in reality, all I needed was an extra set of ears to be like, no, that's actually sick. We can use it like this, you know? And I think at that time, he really opened my eyes to like, look, like what you've done is great. But I think that if we were to, you know, really hone in on what makes these great and have repeating parts and have some stuff that's more just like an earworm, as opposed to you're just showing off here. Like, why are you doing that? That really put me in the mindset of like, okay, first off, let's just try to write something that's a little bit more, you know, catchy, and also let's involve Courtney and make sure that these parts are in her range and write the vocals with her, as opposed to just, because before I would give her a full song and be like, good luck.
Yeah, I get my and you'd be like, it's just done.
Yeah.
And then so that's another big thing is like our old stuff, and then from Rule of Nines onward, now, you know, Dan has the language skills to try to incorporate us all at the same time.
Yes.
And so so I'm there. I mean, I was always there just watching Michael do his riffs anyway, but now I feel like a lot more empowered to, you know, express if something is really inspiring me, or maybe I need the key a little lower.
Sure.
Something like.
So it was a huge learning experience, and it really set me up mentally to figure out how to, you know, write. I'm still figuring it out, but at that point I felt like there was a shift. And I think within those songs especially, you can hear it where it's just more like, you know, it flows a lot
the
better.
Bathtub thing.
Yeah.
Tell them the bathtub
What's the
thing.
bathtub thing?
Bathtub thing.
It's not a thing that any of us made up, and Dan doesn't remember who.
I don't think his reference was always like, you know, when you get into a bathtub and you fill up the water and you jump in it, the water's going to overflow. But if you sit in it and then you fill the water up, well, then you're going to have like an equal. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to overflow. It's going to be fine. And then his reference for that was with the vocals. It's like, why are we not including Courtney in our writing process? Like,
sit in the bathtub.
If we add too much here, it's all going to fall apart. It's not going to make any sense. But if we actually include her, well, then everything's going to be equal, and it's going to be. So yeah, I think around that time was when we started figuring it out and started to like go down that path of making it all work.
Yeah.
So now, Courtney, if I'm getting this right, when you entered the bathtub, what was going through your mind, I guess? Because before, all these songs were kind of constructed without you and given to you to sing, but now kind of being involved in the writing process, was that the first time that you were involved in any songwriting, or was that kind of the first time that you were able to really flex that part of your brain, or just has it been a while and you were just getting to try it?
Well, it just helped me, instead of me having to fit all of what Michael's doing, it kind of it forced him to have to fit what I'm doing. Yeah. So, you know, I would make that way I could, if I had a melody that I thought would go great over maybe whatever chord progression Michael made, you know, having me track that first and then having him layer. That's how a lot of people write songs, but that's not how we ever wrote songs before. So this to us is mind blowing, but to other people that write songs, it's just songwriting
Common
101.
sense.
This is how you write. You know, you're playing your guitar and you're singing your song, and then you build all the other, atmosphere around the singing and the guitar. You know, so now I just find that to be a more harmonious way of writing.
Yeah, Courtney was always there, and she's always written all of her vocals. It's just that before, if I had a chorus and then I put a lead on top of it, a counter melody, and then a reverb tail doing a melody, and then she has to sing over top of that, it's probably not going to go as smooth as with if I have the bases, like the bass of the chorus, and then I go, Courtney, what do you hear over these notes? And then I base my counter melody and whatever else over what she's already done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that is songwriting 101.
Yeah.
But I bet a lot of other metal bands are probably more like us, and that was if they were to do that, just how it was like mind blowing to us.
yeah.
They might be like, whoa, because I don't know. I think a lot of us really like compartmentalized. At least that's how I always did.
Sure.
Any band I've been in, it's written and then sent, and then I write all my stuff, or rather, I don't show anyone my parts that I've written until the song's completely done.
Yes, definitely.
Totally. Also, something I want to hit on are those one-shot vocal recordings that you've been able to do. Feel like those have kind of become synonymous with the band and with the songs as well. I feel like anytime I look up one of your songs on YouTube and one of those is accompanied by it, I'm like, oh, that's exciting. I'll watch that one. For those, how'd you get the idea, and when did you decide, oh, it's time, let's do some rule of nines, and I'm going to do this all in one take?
Yeah, I mean, I never, it's just one of those things that I never did before. I always had some excuse or like, I'm not ready. And then when we started doing Spiritbox stuff, Michael, I think you kind of helped me have the confidence to do that. I was like, why would anyone want to see this? It's just me, it's just me standing there. But Michael's like, it's very cool to watch, just the same way we like watching guitar playthroughs.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to watch the artist, how they approach the song and like live. I personally don't see what the big deal is. I'm just standing there. I should be able to sing my song in one take, just standing there, like if I was doing jumping jacks while doing it,
That's the next one.
Yeah, that
That's
would be
the
Next
impressive.
level. Yeah.
So I do kind of feel like everyone is like just giving me like a praise for like breathing. I'm like, yes, sweetie, you did it. But it's cool because we missed at first, financially and logistically, like we didn't have a band. And then financially we didn't have enough money to go on tour. And then, just because of the state of the world during the pandemic, we couldn't go on tour. We really missed, in a way, it was almost like getting to play a little show for our fans, and I missed, and I just am so curious as to what they would say about my performance and how I sound. So that's one of the reasons why we did that.
Yeah, I mean, again, being an online band, you have to find ways to push, your name out there and everything. And what Courtney just said too, it sounds very odd, but where we come from and all that, touring and all that, it isn't very easy, especially when you don't have a lot of money. And I think a part of us making those videos with, the one take vocals or any of it, it's just more so just showing a performance. We wanted to perform so badly, but we were, we kind of put ourselves in this position where we were like, we're going to save it. We're just going to wait and see how this goes and try to build a demand. And all those videos played a role, and I didn't think personally that, well, I mean, obviously I knew that people would love them. I just didn't think that some of them would have more views than the actual songs or music videos themselves, which is incredible. We're so thankful for it. But yeah, it was just, especially in the beginning, it was very, very cool and validating to see the response and people's reactions to Courtney's singing, because she's just incredible. And we had a long time off and we didn't play any shows, so online it was just kind of fulfilling to see people be like, wow, this is really great.
Yeah, I think I probably had a little chip on my shoulder that I had something to prove too.
Sure.
I've just always, I don't know, it's not my whole time, and I'm sure a lot of our other, if there's any friends in the chat that are women that are in metal bands, or if they do any sort of screaming too, like you're just always weirdly like getting like second guessed by people. So maybe there was some like, those are bad reasons to do something though. But I think I maybe had like a little chip on my shoulder of, I'm so tired of people saying, oh, she can't do that live. And I'm like, yes, I can stand here and you know, I messed up most of the takes, and then I finally got one right. So like, if you can get one of like 6 of them right, then there you go. You can show off your thing. So I don't know. Maybe I felt like I had something to prove. I wanted to show that I could do it. But now I just like it in a positive way. Like it's fun for me to it's a nice way to connect with fans, especially when we couldn't do that. We hadn't played, we'd played maybe 11 shows at that point that got cut short because of the pandemic. So it's just like a nice way to keep connecting with the people that are supporting you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And as what Mike said, they are great videos. They're incredible. So they're awesome. So don't second guess yourself at any point on any of those.
I'm more secure now than I was like a couple of years ago.
Oh, good.
I think I'm starting it, but or maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the day. Today I feel secure.
Good day, feeling good. Yeah. You guys. I gotta say your presence online has been really great. Even Twitter's, but also especially these videos and marketing, and the merch is incredible, and everything's like, I feel like you guys have like an incredible marketing team of some sort, or you guys just do all of it yourselves but do a great job. What is that like advertising the band and kind of getting your merch out there and getting merch made? Do you have a hand in that at all?
I like to say I'm the creative director. Like I don't have any graphic design, anything like that, any talent, but for most of our stuff, we've been working with our friend Leanna White, who's an incredible graphic designer, and it's so cool because over time I used to present her with like all these mood boards and stuff, and over time it's like she now just everything she makes, she just knows exactly what we want, and we get to work with a ton of great designers. So, but also, I got a passion for fashion. I love that stuff. And then of course our manager Jason, we joke that he's the marketing department.
Yes, he is.
He's the customer service department. He's the marketing department.
He wears many hats.
He does it all.
He's got like 8 phones.
We learned a lot from him about just how important it is to connect with our community, because a lot of those things we kind of isolate ourselves, and so he's helped us learn how to like just make sure that you're still acknowledging all the people that have just given you their time and their money, and whether they're buying your music or your merch or just telling people, just to make sure that they know that how much you appreciate them. So, and we also we love puns. We love puns. So
for sure.
We like to make things with puns.
I think also as well, like we're me and Courtney are pretty, I mean, I hate to use the word, but like somewhat controlling over.
Yeah. We're absolute psycho control freaks.
I think
as well.
I think, and that's always been since the beginning of the band, is more so just it has to always look a specific way, and it has to always be a specific way, to the point where we were making our own music videos for the first year and a half of the project. So
by we you mean he, like Michael makes them.
But it's something that's always been consistent throughout the project, and we've just been really, really fortunate as we've gone on to be able to work with designers and work with all of these people that are so talented. And as Courtney says, like she used to bring them huge mood boards and inspo boards and everything, and very quickly it just became apparent that they like fully understood and got it, and every time that they pitch anything or whatever, they just knock it out of the park. So we've just been very fortunate to work with some amazing people, for sure.
We've gotten to work with some incredible directors and artists and photographers, and so each time we work with any of those people, that's the most fun part about the collaboration, is you can't help but a little bit of them, like of their talent, it inspires you, and then you move on to the next thing with what you've learned from them.
Yeah. I mean, everybody in the chat has also been saying right now how much pieces of merch they have, and people have got a lot of merch from you guys. Everybody loves the merch.
Crazy.
That's wild.
It's
I don't
great
understand.
merch.
The disposable income is off the chain.
Damn, it is.
I'm happy for you guys that you can do that, because good for you. But we're gonna keep on making it, and you know, don't feel obligated to buy it. But I'm not gonna turn your money down. Like, you can keep buying it. 'Cause I always joke, I'm like, I'm not a fashion designer. We make merch because that funds our band. You know, I'm not trying to open my own company and have the Spiritbox, spring summer runway show in Milan, right? It's purely to I just love the whole culture of band merch. Like, it's so awesome, and especially when you go into other genres and see like how much that's lacking there. I love that the rock and metal community loves to represent. It's almost like people that love their sports teams. Like,
yeah, very much so.
Point of pride.
And it's just like a point of, it's just like it's a conversational thing. It's just part of like the culture of liking metal and rock bands. So I'm so honored that our fans, I know you guys would buy it even if it sucked, just to support us, but I'm glad that you think it looks cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of given also the visuals of the band, and talking about music videos, but other videos, I wanted to ask you guys about the Constance video you did, the acoustic one, which was really breathtaking visually, and also sounded amazing. What gave you the idea to do that?
The acoustic Constance version was it was for the Grammy Museum, and they contacted us and they're like, "Can you do any song acoustic? We would love to have you a part of our showcase for it." And we were like, "Oh my God, we're in no position right now to figure this out, but let's just do it anyways." Like, this is such an honor.
Like in the desert in Joshua
We
Tree.
were recording Eternal Blue in Joshua Tree, and they were like, "Yeah, we need to do it like in 3 weeks from now." So I made the arrangement, and then our friend Kevin, he went all out, and we got a church in, where were we? Do you remember Seal Beach? Was that it?
Pico?
Something like that. It was an area out there, and it's a really gorgeous church. And they brought in like a crane. They brought in 4 other cameras and everything, and we recorded it live. And we had three. It was two violinists and cello as well. It was it wasn't like a huge arrangement, but it was just needed to complement the acoustics essentially.
Right.
And yeah, it turned out great, and that's one of my favorite things we've actually ever done. It was a great experience, and it went by really quick, and it was just a trip to play that song like that, and to film something like that in a church. It was just such a great time, and a huge honor, to say the least, for sure.
That one's a good example of like not doing stuff just for the sake of like getting a pat on the back, because we did like the guitar and the vocal live, but then like we didn't write that it was live, and I was like, well, we could have done it. We could have done it not live, and then like added more cool stuff to it. But I love that it was like that, because it forced us to be really stripped back, because I think we just can't help ourselves. Like, if it wasn't like that, I would have been like, all right, we should have like 5 vocal parts and like 10 guitar layers. So I like that it got to stand on its own. That song's really special to us, and it's named after our friend Dylan's grandma. Dylan, he runs Versa Films, and he's done a lot of our music videos from our like singles EP, and he did the original Constance music video. And that song, I was writing the lyrics to it, and he was creating the concept of it when we were both kind of grieving our grandmas for different reasons. Me grieving my grandma for losing her. She passed away in the summer of 2020. And at the same time, he was just wrestling with all the feeling of loss he was feeling with his grandma Constance, who was just going through battling dementia. And so it's weird, you both feel like you've lost your family in the same way, and both of you, we both couldn't visit our family in the same way. No one was allowed to have funerals or go to the hospital, or in his case to go visit his grandma where she was living. So it just was very comforting to both of us, and I think that's just like such a lovely thing that we got to share together, you know. And I'm very honored to call the song Constance after his grandma.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. I didn't know any of that. Thank you for sharing that. That's very touching. I think the video itself was kind of spectacular in a way, because I think in terms of genre, right? Metal band tends to be scary words for some people, right? But when you kind of take that song and you think, okay, well, I mean, it's got some metal elements, but then when you put it acoustically, you're like, oh, it's just a very pretty song. And it's a pretty song any way you slice it, really. For you guys, do you know of any other bands in the space that are innovating in similar ways, or ways that you enjoy as well, or bands that you've seen and you've been like, that's really exciting for the genre and for what we are right now?
Oh, there's
a great
there's
question.
some cool bands. We, I feel like every band like us, we're all obsessed with the band Loathe. Like every band loves that band that I know. And so they're one that always continuously is inspiring me, everything. Like their music, their aesthetic is so beautiful that I just think that I've never met them or talked to them really, but like they're just cool as hell.
Very exciting band.
They excite us, and I think they're great. They're so artistic, and it's great musicianship, but it's also just cool music. What are some bands like that? That's like my standard for being cool guy band.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of bands that innovate in different ways. I feel like there's different ways of being heavy, whether it's being heavy in a real sense where the subject matter is talking about loss and dementia and losing family, or being extreme in a way of taking what was an extremely heavy song and bringing it over to an orchestra. I mean, in that sense, that's also extreme when you think about the differences there. I mean, like you can take like a band like Architects, that would have one of the year's biggest heavy songs, Animals, and then bring that over to Abbey Road, and they have a full-on orchestra, and they do it like Metallica S&M style. It's not easy to do, especially live, and I think there's a lot of bands right now that are looking for many, any reason to try to push the envelope and to try new things. I mean,
Bring Me the Horizon's always
Bring the Horizon, yeah.
They're always like cool older brother that's like way better than all of you. Like they're like they're like your perfect like star athlete, like A student, like best in the class older brother, and like we're always all gonna try to like chase whatever cool thing they do. Just in general, like even if I don't feel like I have really written a lot of stuff that's like musically like them. It just I think they're so innovative the way that they think and do stuff. And then also the one that is just continually inspiring to us aesthetically and the music, the whole thing is like Turnstile.
Yes.
I just think that their music videos, their songs, and then the way that they perform live and everything is just, it's so cool to me. Like every time I see them, there's just certain bands like that where every time they're winning, you don't feel jealous of them. You just feel like you feel joy, because you just feel like they're helping all of us by that next cool innovative thing.
Totally.
For sure.
And it's nice that like just more people get to experience that kind of music, I guess, and that it maybe is becoming a little more popularized than maybe it was in the last 10, 15 years. In terms of outside of like the genre, outside of more like rock and metal music, what do you guys listen to outside of the genre?
I mainly listen to my DJ Malta playlist. We did a Bring Me the Horizon festival, and I was supposed to DJ, but I wasn't really I was just playing songs off my phone, and I made this playlist, and then our tour manager, he couldn't find my dongle, and I like asked the crowd for a dongle, and then everyone was like yelling at me, and then luckily my friend Zoe London came and saved the day and DJ'd, and I just danced on the table like an idiot and didn't DJ. But man, my Malta playlist, it's got it all. But I love on there, it's, of course, pretty much the entire new Beyonce album that I listen to literally every single day. I think it's the favorite albums. And then what are some bands that are new that we love? I listen to Pink Panthers a lot.
Yeah.
I love her. I just think she's so exciting, and I think that she is so creative, and I think that she's like just getting started, and she's gonna make some really interesting music that
Totally.
I love. And she will become more than like TikTok. Like she's transcending that, and I think she's so cool. What about you?
I mean, for me, it's all across the map. I listen to a lot of metal. Like I love Meshuggah. I love
Yeah.
all the normal stuff. I mean, outside of that too, you know, top 40 stuff. I listen to Mac Miller, John Mayer, Katy Perry. You know what I mean? I pretty much listen to everything because I feel like there's just so much inspiration, whether it's production, top line, melody, from everything. You know, I feel like if you just kind of have a really almost like tunnel vision on what you're listening to, it's not going to reflect well in your writing. And also just, you know, as far as being 2022, there's just so much to offer. I mean, every day, how many songs get uploaded to Spotify? Like there's always something new. There's always something cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I just try to listen to everything and not really care about all that, you know.
The new Kendrick Lamar album too is like,
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting it's like a challenging listen to me. It like and I really enjoy it, and it's like very emotionally moving to me, and it just seems like so much care put into it. So that one, you know, maybe I don't go back, I'm not like getting ready and like dancing around to it like some of his last album, but I think it's such a special album. So that that and the new Beyonce record are like the ones that I've probably listened to the most this year.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Nine Inch Nails recently too.
Yeah, we've been going back in time mainly.
A lot, yeah,
like,
a lot of going back in time.
And listening to stuff that re-inspiring stuff that we loved 20 years ago that we're trying to figure out why we loved it then and then why we love it now.
Totally.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, with that Kendrick Lamar album, it is really just like a seminar in storytelling. It's just like, here's a story and here's how each song connects to the puzzle. And especially I love the idea of going back to old stuff too, and understanding why you enjoyed it. For Eternal Blue, since we're, as we mentioned, about like a year removed from that record, I felt that the writing and the musicality, kind of everything just took a huge leap forward with that album. And just like, you know, it was great. And it just became this thing that's like, oh, wow, okay, this is crazy. For that album, what themes did you play with? What kind of things inspired you outside of music for it, being like a story like you were telling about Constance or things of that nature? Kind of what swelled onto this album, you think, from you guys?
Frustration. Us having too much time, you know? I mean, we started that process in 2018, and while we were doing the Blessed Be Rule 9 sessions, we had other ideas, and you know, fast forward 6 months after that, we started forming Eternal Blue and everything. And you know, as soon as 2020 hit, we started looking at when we could record it, and I think we pushed back, what was it, 4 or 5 times? We booked 4 or 5 different Airbnbs thinking that travel would be open, all that, and it just enabled us to, instead of kind of just sit there and sulk and stuff, it was more so fuel to kind of add more to the pot. So we were doing sessions over Zoom where Dan was controlling.
Holy Roller and Constance, right? Both were over Zoom.
Yeah, the recording of it, writing was before that, but Dan would take control of Pro Tools on my computer using Zoom, like help function, like the thing, and he would record me remotely, and then the same thing with vocals. We would just do everything was over Zoom. I think 4 songs on that album were born from Zoom sessions. And you know, had we not done that and we didn't have that time, the record would have sounded completely different in my opinion.
And that's why we had 5 singles off of it, because we put out music and then got a record deal, and then you know, a year more passed of us not getting to put our album out. So you know, everything was, I think that's the main theme of that album, is just like adapting to our environment. We just recorded that in the kitchen of the Airbnb in Joshua Tree.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a house out there on a big property. We went out there because we didn't want to. It was still in the thick of the pandemic, and we didn't want to risk, our health or anybody else's health. I mean, we were on a 20-acre property, so we were pretty secluded. The average coffee run took about 45 minutes to go through.
Wow.
So
Dang.
it was pretty intense. We lived out there for about a month and we did it. But I think that record just sounds really dark and it sounds bleak
Dusty.
in a hopeful way, which I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of describes that time frame. You know what I mean? We were just kind of,
We hoped that it
we
would
hoped
work.
that it would all work out. And I think that's what that record sounds like.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. Listen, that's pretty much all the time we have, but I wanted to thank you guys for joining me today. I know I kept you for a long time, but thank you so much for being so cool and chatting with me, and hope to catch you on a headliner tour real soon when you come around New York.
No,
you so
are you
much.
kidding? We're artists. All we like to do is talk about ourselves. It's the easy. That's all you got to do is just sit there like,
Yeah. Go on.
well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we see you. I think we'll see you sooner than later. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh, whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
You hear that, chat? Look at that. Damn.
Everyone next year, but
Yeah.
we'll- just give us a couple months to get our shit together, and then you guys get your shit together.
Yeah,
Thank
chat
you.
is saying they want to call it the Eternal Bitch Tour. It would be great.
That's gonna be at least one T-shirt. It needs to be like it's a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Courtney. And best wishes to you, creating new music, touring, everything you got going on.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
See you later.